everyone, welcome back. Welcome to my garden. I haven't been out in the garden in months. Well, that's not true. I haven't been able to spend long days in the garden like I did last year, and I realize that I haven't shown you what the garden looks like at the height of summer, and it is so beautiful, so I want to share that with you. But I have a few things that I want to get done over the course of a few days, not just in one day, and it might be a little ambitious, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So I've been really busy doing fun things. I've been going on vacations, I've been hosting friends and family in our home, and all of that has been great. But, of course, it's taking me away from spending those long, beautiful days in the garden. But today is that day. So I'm really excited to be here. So some of the things that I want to accomplish: transplanting. I've got plants in the garden that are not happy where they're at, so I want to move them around, and hopefully they don't get shocked. But we'll see. Potting. I've got some beautiful plants that I bought, big plants that are still in their original pots, and I sort of put them into like a decorative pot, and I'm kind of embarrassed about that, but they're not happy, and I need to take them out of their original pot so that their roots can move around and plant them in their forever home. So we're going to do that. Rose care. So I've got some rose bushes that I need to take care of. I've got 3 different rose projects that I want to accomplish today, and that should be fairly easy to do, so we're going to do that. Now, the most ambitious project that may or may not happen is that I have a raised bed that I bought last year during Amazon Prime. I didn't really need it, but it was something that was too good to pass up. The price was just really, really incredible. So I bought it knowing that at some point I did want a raised bed. Well, this is the season and I want it, and I have a project and a place for it. So I'm going to try to build that and maybe plant it. I don't know. That's really, really ambitious, but we'll see. Planting new plants. Yes, I would like to get as many of those new plants into the ground. So we'll see how far I get. I won't be able to plant them all because I went a little crazy, but I certainly want to get as many as I can into the ground. So we'll see how far I get. Got my gloves on, got my tools out. So let's get into the garden. Next up was my citrus care, and the first tree was my tangerine tree. This is my smaller one of the 2 that I do own, and I trimmed it up and then I fed it, and that was pretty easy. Next, I moved on to my navel orange tree. This one needed a bigger haircut, and it's a little scary to go underneath that canopy with all of the spiders and lizards, but I did it and it looked much, much better. All right, this is my Cara orange tree. It produces pink oranges, and it's a really great tree, but it does not like to be cut back too hard. So I have to be really, really careful, but I did trim it back, gave it a nice haircut, and I did crawl underneath to feed it, which was really scary. But here, I'd lost my audio, so I was explaining what I had done, but I'm really glad that I got that over with and that I took care of all my trees. You can see it's really all spent here. I'm kind of sad to do it just because there are some really nice blooms still that just come up, and the bees love it. And so I don't know, I might have to be a little careful, or I was just going to lop it off, but if I do that, then there's nothing for the bees. So I don't know, big decision here. But let's just do it. So I'm almost done here. I decided not to just shear it off, because I just see that there are so many bees here, and I felt guilty about removing their food source, since they love it here, and I want to keep the bees in the garden. So this was a lot more tedious, obviously, but I don't feel as guilty. I just didn't want to take away food source. Not that they don't have other places they could go, but I want to keep them here. All right, there you can see. It's just cleaned out. If I think about it, maybe I can show a before and an after. I wouldn't say it's that dramatic. There are some lavender bushes over here. Those are going to come out because they're not really very happy. I know from the camera, actually, they look happy, but they're really not. They're not as happy as these guys are over here. They're much smaller, so I'm going to take them out. All right, here is the lamb's ear, and it's pretty, but I've got to cut back the spent blooms on it, and it was really only supposed to be on the border, so like just here, but you can see that it's inched its way all the way back here, and it's kind of encroaching, so I need to thin it out and clean it out, so let's do that. So you can see I thinned it out tremendously. I've reduced the size by over half. It was sort of encroaching back here, and so I've gained some more real estate here, and then here on the border, it was already lying on the gravel, and we don't want that. So I trimmed it up and I thinned it out and cleaned it up. So I think it looks fantastic. This is something I've been putting off for probably 6 weeks now. And I think it looks really, really good. This is a primrose bush, and I don't understand why it never blooms. I feed it all the time. I don't know. I think this is a Chiapas sage plant. I've got two, and it's really big. It's kind of taking over the fountain. It's a little too tall. I should have planted this behind it. But I just want to take this out because I have two of them and I don't want two of them. So these two are coming out, and I'm not sure what we're going to put in here, but let's get them out of the garden. All right, I think this is going to be the easier one. Let's see. Okay. Why I planted two together, I don't even understand that. Oh dear. Okay, number 2. Again, I should probably cut it back. Let's do that. Let's see. All right, I lost that battle. That was really, can't get that one out. So that will have to wait for my husband. He will probably literally, with one shovel kick, lift it out, but I cannot get it out. So I normally persevere. I don't know, I might keep trying. I won. Oh my God, that was so hard. And I think I know why it wasn't blooming. I put it in this gopher cage. And I think this plant doesn't like to be bound, probably, and that was probably I don't know, I'm guessing. But anyway, it's out. I did it by myself. Yay! So the first thing I want to do is this iceberg rose bush. I've been feeding it. Well, first of all, it's fairly healthy, and I need to just deadhead it. This one I bought. It was probably about an 8-inch plant, and it was dead, and it was on the clearance rack for $1. And I remember when I bought it, the cashier was like, "Oh, we have." She was like trying to convince me that they had nicer ones. But I knew it wasn't dead. But anyway, look at it now. It's flourishing, but it is a little yellow. I think it's either, I think my irrigation is off, and my gardener landscaper is going to come and check that out. So I know it's not really food because I've been feeding it, but otherwise it's really happy here. So I just want to deadhead it a little bit. So that's what I want to do. Next project, I've got this arbor, and I've got 2 climbing roses on each side, and I trained them, but there are new branches growing out on this one specifically. This one is more prolific, so I need to deadhead it, but I also need to train some of those branches, and I don't know, maybe I might need to prune it a little bit. And then I've got a smaller one here that I realized it really wasn't growing, but I figured out it wasn't getting water. So I think I just mentioned that I'm going to have my landscaper come back and check. I think my irrigation is off. I can see it across all the beds. So we're going to just train those up and do a little deadheading. I also wanted to show that since I moved from one rose bush to another, and just in general, I don't show it on camera, but I do sanitize my shears. So especially with my roses. Well, if I take this off, will it make it go? No, because it's pretty much training itself. Good, 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 good. Ow. Oh, this is a dangerous job. So this here is my second climbing, so I have one on each side. It wasn't really growing. When I started to water it by hand, it kind of started to take off, and so that's how it got me to realize that something is wrong with my irrigation system. So anyhow, it's looking really happy, and I'm just kind of bummed that I didn't start this earlier in the spring season, because it probably would have been up, but you know, we figured it out, and it looks pretty happy. There's nothing I need to do. I just did one of the, well, maybe I'll do 2 branches. You know what? I'm going to leave well enough alone. I'm just going to leave it till it's a little further along because I don't want to stunt it. But this one, yes. The last one I got to do is this pot here. It's a rose bush, and it's at the back of the garden where my fruit trees are, and there's just a bunch of pests back here. And there are, quite frankly, a lot of weeds. It's kind of like an orchard with like the apple trees and plum trees, and it's just not really the best place for it. So it's not happy, but in spite of me, it's still blooming. So we're gonna move that to a better home. Okay, so I moved it here. Basically, it just came from that way this way, and I think it's going to be happier here. I'm not sure if this is its forever home, but we're going to try here. And oh, I got this beautiful pot the other day. It's out of Vietnam, and it's so beautiful. So I don't know what I'm going to plant in that, but I put it here, and it needs a lot of work. It's a lot of cleaning up to do, but I think it's going to be happier. It's closer to more of the pollinators. So, ow, that is a big thorn. So let's just get her cleaned up, and then hopefully she'll start to flourish. I think I've been trying to do this for the past 3 months, and I finally got it done. So I'm really happy about that, and hopefully it bounces back, which I think it will. I'm not going to feed it just because I don't want to shock it. I just moved it to an area that has more sun than it had, and not that it doesn't like it, because it does, but I'm changing a lot of its, its everyday routine. So I just certainly I don't want to shock it anymore. So I'm going to let it sit here for a few days, and then maybe in about a week, then I'll come through and I'll fertilize it. But I'll just give it a really deep soak, and let's see how she does. All right, moving on to the next. I'm crouching down here. These are really special plants, and I don't know why I've waited so long, but this one here is a hydrangea macrophyll variegata. Basically, it is a variegated hydrangea. And for those that don't know, the flowers are sort of like, the buds on it are like, sort of like the oak leaf style budding, but it's really, really beautiful. And you can see it's in its original pot, and this is the pot that I want to put it in. I don't know, I almost feel like it needs a bigger pot. And then the second one here, this is my prize. It's not happy by any means. I had it in too bright a sun and I cooked it. This is a dwarfed magnolia, Jane X variety, I believe. If that's wrong, I'll put it up on the screen. But yeah, you can't see it, but it's in its original pot, and then I put it in this really pretty decorative pot. So I need to plant them up, and then, but first I need to kind of figure out where I want them to live before I do that. But that's the next thing we have to do. I think that Jane X Magnolia will be much happier here. We'll see. There it is, there it is. You can see my camera died. My card ran out of memory, so I had to switch it over. But this is the Hydrangea macrophyll, the variegated one. It's almost 8 o'clock, but I'm pushing it, and I'm going to get the last pot planted. Can you see that? And then I'm going to add this geranium, and then I'm going to add this verbena. Look at that. Isn't that so pretty? So pretty. Okay, it's that time. It is 8:20, and I need to go inside now. I need to get out of the garden. I'll be back in the morning, but every time I come out at night and I start to water some of my pots, and they hear the hummingbirds go crazy. They see me out here and they start buzzing around, but I do think I need to change their feeders, so I think maybe they're giving me a little hint. But they're very social and they just fly and buzz around. But I need to go inside now and I need to relax. Good morning, day 2 in the garden, and it is beautiful today, but it's going to be really hot. And I probably should have done the transplanting that I was wanting to do yesterday when it was slightly cooler, but it is what it is. So that's what I want to accomplish now before I go into the easier things, because I've got to do some digging and moving some plants around. So let's tackle it. The first thing that I want to do is this rhododendron. I have 2 rhododendron plants here. It's really too hot for them to be here, so I want to move these, and I want to move them. This is a shadier spot. It's not shady now, but it does in about 2 hours it would be shady. I had planted these lavender bushes here because I wanted a whole down the run here. I wanted it all to be lavender, but these bushes are not really thriving. It's not really the best place for them. So I'm going to just take these out, and I'm going to put the rhododendron here, and then I have another plant that's potted that really is begging to be in this nice sunny spot. So we're just going to swap those out. That's one of them. I was able to transplant several plants, and then I planted about four new plants. So let me clean up, and then I'm going to show you and give you a little tour of the plants that I have going on here. Okay, I'm done. That took a little longer than expected, but that's the way it goes sometimes. But let me show you what I moved and what I did. You can see here, this is where the lavender was. So I took that lavender out. These are the rhododendrons that were in the bright sun, and they'll get about 3 hours, maybe 4 hours of not too intense sun, but some sun, and then it gets dappled. I planted here in the back two crocosmias, and I love that plant so much. I used to have it at another property I owned, and I always said when I find it, I'm going to buy it and plant it. So I planted two of them, and I think it looks really, really pretty. And then here, this plant here, what is this? I have the little, this one is called a Casimobotria. Basically, it's called a popcorn plant because it actually smells like buttered popcorn. It's so strange. In this little area here, I planted this foxglove, which I think is really, really pretty. And then I planted this plant. What is this called? Sissyrhynchium. And it's just got these really, really sweet flowers. So this is the Grevillea that I took out of the back part of the garden, and it's really not very happy, so I'm going to put it into this pot and hopefully it's much happier here. Pretty pitiful, to be honest, but I'm hoping that in this nice gentle area it'll come back to life, because it's a really beautiful plant, and I should put it up above so that you can see what it really is going to be looking like. I might try to build the raised bed. My husband, so here's the thing, my husband is joking with me and he's like, okay, I know that I'm gonna end up building it, and the minute he said that, like, you know that I'm like, oh, no, no, no. Like, it kind of like put the challenge in me that I have to do it myself. I don't know. I may end up asking him, but like the minute he said that, he was joking, like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to end up building it. It kind of made me think like, no, I am going to build it. All right, we're going to call this an exploratory mission. Exploratory, meaning that I'm going to try to see if it looks like it's something that I could do, and then potentially have to hand it over to my husband. So we'll see. Let's get into it. decided to just fully assemble it to the 8 feet, just because I just don't want to have extra pieces. And I mean, who am I kidding? Like, I couldn't find more plants to put in this bed. I mean, seriously. So anyhow, I think I'm going to end up putting some chicken wire on the bottom so that the gophers or the voles don't come up and eat it. So I'll put that at the bottom, and then I'll fill it with soil. I'm going to put it, you can't see, but I'm going to put it in the way back in the orchard area of the garden. So anyhow, I'm really proud of myself. I did it. I just needed a little push. Okay, I am really tired. I've had a full day in the garden. My heart is full. I am so happy. It is so beautiful. It is so beautiful, and I'm just so excited with like doing all the it just makes me happy that I'm taking care of my plants and I'm making them happy. That really fills my heart. So, and it's just beautiful, so beautiful. Good morning and welcome back to my garden. It's been a few days since I was filming, and I do have a little update on the garden and some things that have happened in the meantime. So I've got my matcha and I got a little story time for you. So, had a little moment of crisis in the garden. You saw me knocking all the things out, really enjoying myself in the garden. And then I was about to plant a bunch of plants, and I noticed that my plants were looking a little dehydrated. They weren't really looking like they were getting enough water. I thought, something is not right. So my intuition was telling me something's not right. So I thought, let me not plant any more plants. And so I stopped. I didn't film anymore because I really wanted to figure this out. And so I called my landscape guy, and they checked all the lines, every drip line. So there were a couple of issues that they found. The first issue was that one, he did not realize that I was going to plant as much as I did. I didn't know what I didn't know. So potentially I might be utilizing too many drips on one line, but I honestly don't think that's the issue. He also found that I had ripped one of the lines in one of the beds. I was puncturing to add a drip line, but I had punctured all the way through, so that sort of dissipated the pressure for that particular line, so that makes sense. And then he found that I was putting a lot of them on backwards. He taught me how to do it, and I don't know why I did it the way he taught me and then I did it another way. So we kind of chatted about in January when all the plants have died down and there's, it's not as lush and full, that he's going to add another line to each bed, because that'll give me plenty of pressure to be able to plant to my heart's content. So yeah, we talked about that, but for now I'm going to be fine. So I'm really happy that I did that and that I didn't plant anything. So we're back in the garden, we're back in action. I'm really happy about that. So the couple of things that I want to do today, I am going to, on my quest to continue to transplant and move things around, there's actually 2 more plants that I've been thinking long and hard about that I'm going to remove from the garden. They're just not bringing me joy. They're really messy, they're overtaking the garden, and they're really woody. I don't really like woody plants, so I'm going to remove those. And then plant some other things that you'll see me do. It's really hard to see when it's really sunny outside, but this one, it's just, you can see, it's overtaking. So that's the first one, and then I have a second one. So let's just get into it. Okay, got that out, and I just kind of did a quick design of how I want to redo the bed. And so let me show you. It's never as easy as I think it's going to be, and I think if I never thought that, I probably would never do the things that I do in the garden. And I think that goes for anyone who gardens. So let me show you what I did. This is where the salvia was, and it was just overtaking. I mean, I'm being a little dramatic, but it was pretty much overtaken. This is where I put this very dainty geranium. This one, I put that in its place. And then I moved this other geranium, this variegated one. It was back there, and I moved it up front just because of the try to stair step the height. And then I put the two Veronicas here, and then I put the goldenrod in the back just to create some height. I'm really happy with it. I think it just looks like everything kind of belongs. I don't know. I think it just looks a little bit more tidy. I'm getting hungry, so I'm going to take a little break from the garden, and I'm going to go out to lunch and spend some time with my husband. So I'll be back later. So the last thing that I'm hoping to do today is to remove, this is the second Salvia that I was telling you about, Salvia Gregorio, I think it is. Again, it's looks like it's really happy here, but it's overtaking the bed, and it's also creating a mess, and it's just not bringing me a lot of joy. So we're gonna move this out, and if I have enough time, I'm gonna plant a Panicle Hydrangea, which can take the heat of my zone. So kind of, but there's a little bit of shade here, so I think it should be okay. I'm going to take it out because it's really hard to kind of walk through this bed. So we're going to remove it. Let's do it. Coming to the end of my time here in the garden. I have accomplished so many things that I wanted to get done, and I didn't get to sow my seeds, but I'll do that later in the week, and if I think about it, I'll post that to Instagram to show you what I did. But it is so beautiful. But the one thing that I do notice is that the garden is changing, you know. We're slowly dipping into fall. I can see it in the light. It's very subtle, but it's coming. And you know, it's the cycle of life, but it still kind of makes me sad. But again, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you for watching, and thanks for joining me in my garden, and I will see you in the next one.